What we're having is demonising of certain groups of patients, and this will be extended, and we're falling into a trap.
The head of the NHS in England, Simon Stevens, says he's considering the routine deployment of mobile alcohol recovery units, which have been nicknamed drunk tanks, to try to reduce hospital admissions. Up to 70% of visits to A&E departments on Friday and Saturday nights are linked to excessive drinking. Adina Campbell reports.
Binge drinking at its worst. A big headache for police and a burden for the NHS. It's estimated up to 15% of attendances at emergency departments in the UK are alcohol-related. At this time of year, that number is significantly more, with as many as 70% of attendances at A&E because of drinking. The UK's first mobile drunk tank was introduced in Bristol 3 years ago, and there have been others in Manchester, Cardiff and Newcastle. A supervised area in a city centre, it offers those who've had too much to drink a chance to be checked over by medical staff and sleep off the alcohol, keeping them away from A&E or a police cell. And now NHS England says it's considering routine use of the facility.
Well, Labour opened up the NHS to independent, private providers back in 2002 in a system where money is supposed to follow the patient. 10 years ago, 2.8% of the NHS budget was spent on independent providers. Now that figure stands at 7.6%. Privatisation means opening the door to private providers. It's different to charging for services, which we already do for things like dentists, eye care and so on. But with a finite pot of money, a growing and ageing population, meaning more pressure on services, is it time to start looking again at charging patients for more services? Well, a BBC Ipsos Mori survey of over 1,000 adults in the UK suggests that half of you think that would be unacceptable. Around a third think it would be acceptable. So let's get a snapshot of views in the audience. Put your hands up and keep them up if you think it would be acceptable to charge for some services. OK, I'm just going to nip over here. You, give one microphone. Oh, yeah, go on.
I spent 26 years in the ambulance sector. One area I would look at is charging for people who choose to get drunk. Put a huge strain on the ambulance services, blight A&E.
How much would you charge them?
Oh, I don't know about that.
Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Well,
so, and when would you charge them?
OK, so if you look at Scandinavian countries, they do charge for what they call a drunk recovery service.
OK.
About £400. They're locked in a safe place.
Per night?
Per night. They're locked in a safe place, they're cared for, and next day there's a release fee. Now,
who disagrees? Who agrees? I agree. You agree with the drunk bit? The drunk. What's it called in Scandinavia?
The drunk recovery service.
OK, yeah. 400 quid. Do you agree or disagree, sir?
I completely disagree. This is a Trojan horse argument. The NHS has been set up...
Tell the gentleman here who works for
Well, I'll explain it to him. So they might seem like an easy target, but once you introduce the infrastructure for charging, this will gradually be extended to other groups, like overweight people, people who smoke, people who injure themselves through skiing. But at the moment, the immigrants are being used to introduce charging. The cheapest way to raise money to fund a health service is through general taxation.
Okay.
Charging patients is classified as a zombie policy. It refuses to die. And what our Tory MP should be telling us is they're setting us up for an American-style insurance system. Either you can... There's two ways to pay charges. You pay out of pocket or you take out top-up insurance, and our politicians are afraid to tell us where they're taking us.
Well, I'm going to ask our Conservative MP in a second, but I want you to argue the case for what you've just talked about with the gentleman here who disagrees. Sorry, what's your name? What do you do?
Sorry, I'm Dr. Bob Gill. I'm a GP, and I'm producing a documentary to explain this scam that is taking place.
I just think it's demoralising for ambulance staff having to deal with drunk people Friday, Saturday night. You ask about the morale of the NHS. They're having to deal with people because there's no disincentive for them to go out and get drunk. As a society, is that something we want to put up with? I take your point about it being a Trojan horse potentially. Yeah. But that's a very specific instance where it causes misery for the NHS and money.
OK, but I am not advocating people get drunk and waste people's time.
No.
I don't advocate
Can I just check, has anyone
either.
here had an ambulance called after having had one too many, or two too many, or three too many?
But this is a spurious argument. What we're having is demonising of certain groups of patients, and this will be extended, and we're falling into a trap.
Thanks for watching, and please share this video to let more people know about it.